tell you. Yeah, and to you, eat, sleep, talk, think about everything. We tell you.
Day at 4, so we must be Baldy and The Blonde. I'm Tom Kowitz. I'm here with my co-host, The Blonde, Michele Gaudin.
That's me.
Talk into your microphone.
That's me.
Jeez. You've only done this for several years.
Just a couple of times.
Yeah, remember the microphone, Michele.
I do have to remember that, yeah. So, as we were saying, we're back. We're a show that focuses on liberty and the loss thereof.
She's still not talking into her mic.
I don't understand why it's so far up. There we go. There we go. Anyway, so I thought we'd just revisit a little bit of what we did last week, was highlight attacks on liberty. And I think it's important to note that we don't just quote people. We let you hear them in their own voice. Sometimes that's not enough, but that's what we do.
So last week we played a lot of clips regarding the attacks on specifically the First Amendment, but there was other amendments too. But the attacks on free speech, they're very aggressive now, and these are recent quotes from Hillary Clinton, John Kerry. These were just within the last few days. There was one quote that I did not get to. It was actually a positive quote. The others were
horrific.
Very negative. But this is one by Robert Kennedy Jr. from June of 2023 in an interview with Bill Maher. It's a great, simple quote. He said, "There was no time in history where the people who were censoring free speech were the good guys." I think that's perfectly stated. So if you are on the side of censorship because you're afraid of hearing offensive things or mean tweets or whatever it might be, or even lies and misinformation, it's okay. It's okay to speak lies and misinformation, and people in Washington should be glad that it's legal because that's all they speak.
That's a good point.
But the point is that if you are on the side of wanting to quash that, you're not one of the good guys. History bears that out. You're one of the bad guys.
Yeah, and I challenge anyone to let us know who is a good guy that was in favor of censorship and basically taking away the right of people to disagree. Like, there's a mass exodus from lefties this week from Twitter because they can't take it. They can't take the discourse. Anyway, one of the things that I thought was, we talked, we had some Kamala, I don't even know if we got to Tim Walz, but Tim Walz wants to take away the First Amendment. He thinks we should be pushed back on it. We talked about the Supreme Court justice who thought that free speech was hamstringing the government, which, of course, as Tom said, is the whole point. But we also got to I started to talk about some pushback I got on Facebook for a clip that I played of Kamala in her own words talking about invading the sanctity of your own home to see if you were a responsible gun owner. Your locked doors.
I
think she has the right to come in. Anyway, our producer today is the lovely Patty. Patty, can you play the clip?
She doesn't have that.
Yes, she does. Do you have them?
Which one?
It's number...
from last week,
number
right,
6,
she does.
Number 6. I sent them to her.
Thank you.
Here we go. In Kamala's own words, her own voice.
Just because you legally possess a gun in the sanctity of your locked home doesn't mean that we're not going to walk into that home and check to see if you're being responsible and safe in the way you conduct your affairs.
How about that? So, anyway, I was on Facebook one day, and I didn't realize it was in enemy territory, apparently.
Enemy territory.
And I posted that clip, and the response from, I'm not going to say their names, but some well-known people apparently who do not believe in free speech, I guess.
You mean the good guys?
The good guys, yes, the good guys. They came after me with a vengeance. Oh, Michele, this cannot be, this can't be true because it's from Rumble. I'm like, well, it's from 2007, and that's Kamala Harris, right?
So just because it was on Rumble was the reason they thought it was like fake news or something?
That's exactly correct.
Geniuses they are.
And so therefore they challenged me, we'll basically get a better source. So
Rumble's not the source.
Right. It's Kamala is the source.
Whatever.
Whatever. So I found a better source.
do
Or a
with-
source that they'd have to.
You deal with morons.
Well, I wasn't going to say that.
I know, but I can say that.
Well, you
I don't
can.
even know who they are, so I can call them names. They're anonymous to me. They're morons.
Well, let's just say there was a moronic position. Okay. So.
Taken by morons, but go ahead.
Right.
Good
so-
guy morons. Go ahead.
So I found what I thought would be a source that they would accept, and I found the verification that Kamala said this from that right-wing rag, Newsweek.
Oh, Newsweek.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, that is a right-wing.
So what do you think happened when I posted that response? You know, like say there was 22, 25 people coming after me.
Okay, let me guess. They begged for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And swore to never question you again.
No. Something like this. Well, anyway, it was crickets. So.
Of course it was.
Yeah, anyway.
They have nothing to say now.
Well, they didn't say, in other words, I thought it was weird that maybe they would have said, oh, gee, you know, that's horrible that she said that, right?
Okay.
That Kamala thinks she can come into the sanctity of your locked home. But
Well-
that wasn't what they thought. And that's really not how Democrats used to be.
Very telling that their remark was, that's not true. She wouldn't say that, which means probably that these good guy morons
Yeah.
who took you to task agree that that's a horrific position. Notice I didn't say, well, yeah, she said that, but it's okay. She said it.
Right.
She should have said it because we should go into those locked homes
So
and
look,
check on those guns.
So you know what?
But they know that it's the wrong position.
I'm going to be hopeful that some of them felt a little concerned after they
Well, I'm
realized
sure-
that it was true.
I'm sure after hearing me call them morons, they're going to come over to our side.
Good job, Tom.
Thank you.
On being because you know they're honestly as a young person and actually for many years I was a Democrat because they were the party of peace and personal freedom, anti-war, and you know very free speech as we talked about last week.
Let me just correct you on
Yeah.
something. I do believe that the everyday Democrat on the street was what you just said.
Yeah.
But not the ones in Washington. They
No,
were
no.
not for peace.
No, they
The
were
party, the Democrat Party was never for peace. They're the ones who got us into all the wars.
right. No, I'm talking hippies. You know, what I'm
Okay.
saying, those people,
All right.
peace, love, you know that thing. Gone from the Democrat Party, who now
Yeah.
is in love with who? Dick Cheney.
Well, they are voting for a candidate who's being endorsed by Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, the IRS.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, great group
Yeah,
of
yeah,
great group
that's-
of people to
that's
vouch
who you're
for
in
you.
bed with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you know, and I just want to say that I think I'm in good company. I had some conversations recently with some people I respect, and how could you possibly have left the Democrats? And like, well, I think I'm in good company. RFK Jr. is, I mean, come on. You couldn't get more of a Democrat, but he left because of the assault on free speech and the assault on the health of Americans, where we now have 1 in 37 kids with autism. Now that's insane. Growing up, I did not know one person, not
no,
one.
me neither.
And in my family now, I have two little boys in my family.
Yeah.
And then, you know, fluoride. Oh yeah, fluoride's great for your teeth. But there was always some people that were made fun of as though they were tinfoil hat conspiracy freaks who said, no, they used fluoride in the Nazi concentration camps, and they used it to dumb people down. And come to find out, the federal government in the last 10 days issued a study saying
It lowers
fluoride's
IQs.
lowering the IQ of children. So we'll have more uplifting topics.
Well, not just of children, also of a lot of your Facebook friends, apparently.
Well, here we go. The voice of like reaching out to the other side. Tom Kowitz, also known as.
Am I Baldy or the Blonde?
Unless you have a wig in your pocket, I'm gonna have
I'm
to
the
go.
bald one.
Gonna have to go
And,
with that.
You know, and Michelle's jonesing to try to do this, like do videos of these. I don't want to spend any more time on my hair than I'm doing now, which I would have to do if we went to a video podcast. So
well,
no,
it's coming.
I'm vetoing that.
It's coming.
All right.
Well, you can wear a mask like all the Democrats.
Yeah, I got a face for radio. I'm not doing the video. Anyway, this is Tom Kowitz, Michele Gaudin. We are Baldy and The Blonde. Back in a few. Hey, this is Tom Kowitz with Michele Gaudin, Baldy and The Blonde. We are back. We got some cool bumper music.
Yeah, we do, huh?
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that.
Well, my brother's a kind of talented guy, along with some of his friends.
Yeah, well, they came up with some pretty good
They
stuff.
did. They did.
Anyway, you have something you want to say, and I didn't prepare at all, so the rest of the show's you.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm going to go get
I'm happy to hear that.
some
You
water.
go have a drink somewhere and
Yep.
you have some fun, okay? Anyway, so we were talking about old Democrats versus new Democrats and, what's happened. And I wanted to just mention a couple of things that I think have changed some important people's minds, and that is the attack on liberty, free speech, the right to protest unless you're on their side. And, the relentless attack on free speech, and now apparently, as you can hear from the last segment, Kamala's willing to bust your door down to see if you're a responsible adult. So, anyway, let's talk a minute about Tulsi Gabbard, who was a rising star in the Democrat Party, so much so that she was made co-chair of the Democrat National Committee almost immediately. Beautiful, young, in the military, just a really impressive person. And she recently left, and not only did she leave, but she actually endorsed Donald Trump, as did RFK, who left the party and endorsed Donald Trump. And I thought it was worth visiting why this impressive young woman, Tulsi Gabbard, a role model for young women everywhere, in her own words, why she left. We could play that, please.
I can no longer remain in today's Democratic Party that's under the complete control of an elitist cabal of warmongers who are driven by cowardly wokeness, who divide us by racializing every issue and stoking anti-white racism, who actively work to undermine our God-given freedoms that are enshrined in our Constitution, who are hostile to people of faith and spirituality, who demonize the police but protect criminals at the expense of law-abiding Americans, who believe in open borders, who weaponize the national security state to go after their political opponents, and above all, who are dragging us ever closer to nuclear war. Now, I believe in a government that's of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Yes.
Unfortunately, today's Democratic Party does not. Instead, it stands for a government that is of, by, and for the powerful elite. Now, I'm calling on my fellow common sense, independent-minded Democrats to join me in leaving the Democratic Party. If you can no longer stomach the direction that the so-called woke Democratic Party ideologues are taking our country, then I invite you to join me.
So that's hardly the sound of a raging lunatic, right? That's a sober person.
Or a Russian agent, as Hillary Clinton called her.
Dared to call her. And let me tell you, Tulsi Gabbard did not take kindly to that and decimated the ladies on The View when she went on there. And that's really worth looking at, Tulsi on The View. But anyway, yeah, so this is the kind of movement that we're seeing. And, that's why you see young people flocking, because they don't want to live in tyranny. And that's really the choice right now. And I just feel so strongly that, my feelings are irrelevant. It is an objective fact that our liberties are under attack by the left, and it's off the charts. And for a guy like RFK, whose entire life has been devoted to conservation, like the reason the Hudson Water is the cleanest river in America now is thanks to his efforts as an excellent lawyer and a real environmental lawyer, not climate scam nonsense, forcing companies to clean up the Hudson River. And thanks to him, you can fish in the Hudson River now. Also, we have some other notable departures.
Well, we do have we have a sound clip.
What, in his own words, you mean?
In his own words.
Wait,
now,
it's not just you saying so?
No, this is RFK, but I think I might have got it from Rumble.
Oh,
so,
no.
So it doesn't count.
It doesn't count.
But
I'll see if
now-
Newsweek backs it up.
Patty, hold on. Don't start that yet. I just want to introduce this clip. This is not exactly why he left the party.
Yeah.
But it is explaining why he changed his mind, or how he came to change his mind. And it basically comes down to him having an open mind,
Yeah.
intellectually curious, principled. Now, those are my words, not his. I'll let him, in his words, explain what I was just trying to summarize.
Mighty nice of you.
6 months ago, I thought that an open border was a humanitarian policy, and that if you were for sealing the border, it meant that you were probably a xenophobe and maybe a racist. I was wrong. How did I learn I was wrong? It wasn't just that I listened. It wasn't just that I listened to the other side. It was when I actually visited the border and listened to people who weren't on either side. My views changed as I spoke to Border Patrol officers, to local officials, to local sheriffs, to aid workers, and to the migrants themselves. I saw that no one party has a monopoly on wisdom, and none of the simplistic narratives actually contain the whole truth.
So the point there that I want to make is contrast that to your Facebook friends.
Yes.
Who just close their eyes, close their ears, but open their mouths, right? They're opinionated without really knowing anything. Look at the difference between that position and our case is having that open mind. And let's go find out for ourselves. Don't listen to just the other side, but that's important too.
Yes.
But listen to others who are not just on your side and just on the so-called other side. He went to the border. He talked to the people there. He talked to the people coming across the border and the people who lived there. And as a result, he learned new information. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to change your mind.
Right.
But there's a real strong chance you're going to gain new information if you do all that stuff. And you know the old saying, a closed mind is an empty mind. And that's your Facebook friends, a lot of them. Oh, that was on Rumble? Well, then, no.
Can't be true.
And then you followed up with, well, here it is in Newsweek. And then you're crickets. So those people who are, and I guess there's millions of them out there, they're not giving themselves a chance to grow, to learn, and therefore to never change their position. And there's nothing wrong with, we call it flip-flopping in politics.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with changing your mind if you gain new information.
But Tom, here's the thing that is bizarre. It really is bizarre to me. Are the people on the left freely embracing tyranny? I mean, do they want censorship? Do they want these crazy wars where we leave $82 billion of our weapons and 13 dead Americans on the base that we gave up in Afghanistan? Do they want the house, the sanctity of your home to be kicked in so that they can come check on your guns?
I think a lot of them do.
I mean,
I think a lot of them do.
throughout
They
history,
just,
it's a question.
I think they just wouldn't call it tyranny.
They would say sensible gun.
And then a lot of them would deny that it's true, like denying the quotes, even though we play them. They, first of all, they don't know about these quotes, and when they hear them, they still deny them.
Right.
So, but there are many who will hear that and be appalled and maybe not want to be part of the party, but there's plenty who would never want to hear it in the first place, or if they do hear it, they're okay with it. Because remember, a politician largely will say only what his or her base wants to hear.
Yep.
So when you hear Hillary Clinton and John Kerry, these are recent quotes now it's within the last 2 weeks or 10 days, saying these things about the First Amendment's a problem. We need to get rid of it. Basically, it's a blockade to our plan is what they were saying. Their base is okay with that, and they know that.
Yeah, it's weird. It's actually stunning.
They just don't call it tyranny. They think it enhances freedom.
Yeah, but it always starts this way. The people that were okay with the Jews being persecuted didn't think it would come to them, and it did. It always does. And all I can say is the only real heartfelt objection I ever get from people is abortion. And on that topic, I'd like to say that I think it's mighty convenient to want to hide behind the abortion laws created by, 9 people in black robes, when in fact it is your duty as a citizen to vote how you want the abortion laws to be. And that's what we have now, back in the hands of the men and women of this country to decide how and when they want abortions to be legal. So if you're willing to vote for tyranny just because of that, I mean, it is an unprincipled and bizarre response.
It is, and I thought for the longest time that it was interesting that there was times when the Democrats held the White House and both houses of Congress, and yet didn't do anything legislatively.
No, they
did. They hid behind the Supreme Court.
Behind the skirts.
And now it's gone back to the states, and there's nothing wrong with letting people of the states
our position
decide.
is gaming favor, and that's why we have Elon Musk.
We got to go to break.
Rubin,
Stop talking.
All
Baldy and the Blonde, we're
right.
out.
Later.
Hey, welcome back to the Baldy and the Blonde show. I am the bald Tom Kowitz. I'm here with the blonde Michele Gaudin.
Hello, Tommy. How you doing?
I'm Doing well. I'm still bald. You
Yeah, well,
are
I'm still blonde.
Anyway,
Thanks
do
to
me a
my
favor,
hairdresser.
because I don't know anything about even our social media. I don't even know it.
I know.
Can you
I know.
tell
So
them
let
where
me
they
tell
can find us,
everybody.
please?
Okay, so we have a Facebook group, the Baldy and the Blonde Radio Show group, and if you would join that, you would be kept up to date, and we put some silly things and funny pictures as well as news and depressing news, etc. But anyway, we also have X at Baldy Blonde. And we're getting on Instagram, but we need we need a little time on that. So far, it seems that we've been banned without even joining. I don't know exactly what
Okay,
happened.
so
but
this is absolutely true. I'm not exaggerating. We got banned within 45 seconds
I don't know what
of
happened.
telling them a little bit about us. Basically, putting in our email address, and they must have had some.
Something from the old days.
I don't know. They found something. Seriously, it was less than a minute. I got a notification we're banned.
Yes, you are
So,
banned for being,
Whatever.
I guess, whatever.
Anyway, so we wanted to do a little bit about the pathetic response to Hurricane Helene, and I know it's been talked ad nauseum all over the place. So
Yeah.
we'll try to hit on some things that maybe you haven't heard. So this is good. Did you know, Michelle, there are 6,000 National Guard troops deployed there for hurricane relief? That's
Well,
a
that-
pretty big number, huh?
Sounds like, I mean, in all fairness,
I mean, 6,000.
yeah.
But is there a butt there? What's
No,
the butt?
I don't know.
Do you
what
have a butt?
I don't have a butt.
What? Come on.
I mean, I have a butt, but you know what I'm saying.
What's your butt?
My butt is 17,000 for George Floyd and 45,000 National Guard for COVID-19 response.
Right. So
Wait, 45,000
Yes.
deployed for COVID-19
right.
response.
And by the way, those were at the same time. So that was at the end of May of 2020. There were 62,000 National Guard
And we got 6,000. I
and
see.
right.
And I see that the 6,000 for Helene were deployed on the 30th of September, and the hurricane was the 26th.
And that's not to mention several hundred from, I think, Wisconsin and Tennessee. And Tennessee was, of course, Eastern Tennessee was slammed. 700 of those were deployed to Kuwait.
Kuwait. Yeah, well, of course.
And within, I think, like on the 28th,
Well, I mean,
they were deployed to Kuwait and Wisconsin, something like 300 or 400 deployed from Wisconsin National Guard, because we don't need we don't need
any help in America.
Yeah, right.
This is
So-
America last. That's it.
All right. So
So anyway, what's the solution?
well, okay. So people have been talking, as I said, ad nauseum about this pathetic relief.
Pathetic.
And you can argue,
Disgusting.
and the fact checkers like to say, well, they really did get their 750, or they really did not divert some. Okay, enough. We're
Enough of
never
that.
going to get the truth on that. So I want to back out and look at the big picture. And the big picture is
Good idea.
is for years we are taxed and taxed and taxed, and the currency is destroyed by them printing new money. They take and take and take from us and give and give and give to foreigners, either foreigners who have made their way here, or they're still at home in their country, or maybe they're at another country, but we are giving and giving to the tune of trillions of dollars.
That's right.
And that doesn't even count the trillions we spend in illegal wars of aggression that we were lied into.
Yep.
That's the big picture. That's what we should be looking at, not whether somebody got their $750.
Right, and Biden loves to say it is not true that we diverted
So-
the money for the hurricane from to the illegals. Well,
Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
whoops.
Yeah, I don't know what that
That's
was.
probably Biden calling.
Yeah.
Yep. Stop lying. No, of course not. We're not saying that that's what happened. We're saying that you gave all kinds of money to the whole
Yes.
world and illegals and everybody, making America last.
So for one, my solution though is to
Yeah.
where are the people saying we know there's going to be emergencies, disasters,
Yep.
catastrophes in the upcoming years? Let's stop right now.
Right now.
Sending everything overseas because we know it's coming.
For example, like 2 days after the hurricane, there you have Anthony Blinken, Secretary of State. I got $158 million for the poor displaced people of
Yeah.
Tennessee, North Carolina, no, Lebanon.
Okay, so
Whatever.
Okay. But I have an idea
What do you have? What's that?
how to get a lot of money to the hurricane zone immediately.
Yeah.
So you get Zelensky to ask for 64 zillion trillion for Ukraine.
Yeah.
You get Netanyahu to ask for 87 trillion gabillion for Israel.
Yeah.
We both know they both get their money within a few minutes.
Sure.
That's the way it works.
Yeah.
And then they keep half, send half back here
Yeah.
in the form of foreign aid
Yes, of course.
from them to us.
Yes,
Right? Keeping back 30% for the Biden clan.
of course. The big guy.
Right. And Biden himself gets 10%.
The big guy gets 10%. Yeah.
But they could launder that kind of money they could Venmo it, get it done within a half hour.
I think so.
In other words, when the foreigners ask for it, they don't even have to ask
They
for
don't
it.
have to. We're just giving it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're ready,
It's-
willing, and able.
Yeah.
But Americans get $750.
Well-
that they can get on their cell phone, but they don't have service. So
Yeah. But where are the people, instead of nitpicking about the details, and I'm not saying the details aren't important, and I know the people who need relief, they do need it now, and those things do need to be discussed. I can't believe that we're not hearing anybody talk about, I don't know, let's just say you wanted to put the people here first. We could even,
you mean Americans?
write this down.
Okay.
I just thought of something.
Okay. Go ahead.
It could be a
I got
move.
my pen.
It could be a movement. I just coined a phrase.
Okay.
America first. Write that down, and we'll
Okay.
put that in the show notes.
Okay.
I just coined a phrase.
America.
America first.
America
And
first.
America used to
Never
be
heard that.
great, and we have a chance we could be great again if we would put America first. Wait, write this down.
Oh, got it. Go
Write
ahead.
this down.
Got my pen.
Like somebody should make America great again. Write that down
okay.
before I forget.
That is freaking brilliant.
Wait, I think those might be taken.
You think?
Now, having said that, I really hope that Trump wins this next election, because I think it's a catastrophe if he does not.
It is.
I have never been one to jump on any bandwagons.
Nope.
And full disclosure, I have yet to this day I've never voted for a winning candidate at any level. Seriously, in my life, my hands are clean. I've never voted for a winning candidate. People say, well, you've wasted your vote. No, I vote the way I want, who I want to win. They never win. So bottom line is my hands are clean.
Mine are not.
I really hope Trump wins. I've never been like a MAGA guy. I've never worn a red hat or anything. I've worn plenty of Brandon, let's go Brandon attire and FJB attire. I'm more that than I am MAGA, but I really hope he wins.
FJB.
Can we still say that?
Well, I mean, I think it's okay. Sure. Anyway, yeah. So maybe we could talk about copywriting those phrases and see what we could do.
I'm pretty sure
T-shirts.
pretty sure they're taken.
Pretty sure it's taken, yeah. So I think it's a great idea that, with the storm barreling down on Florida and, all over the internet you see questions about the weather, right? Tons of them, and people going crazy. I see people going crazy on both sides. But I do think curiosity again and open mind again is really important. And maybe it's time to talk about weather.
I have.
Oh, no, not yet.
I have seen a lot of posts, a lot of theories out there about whether the government the military, or NOAA or whoever can control the weather,
Yep.
manipulate the weather,
Yep.
not necessarily maliciously, although possibly that too.
Yes.
But then behind all these posts, there's fact checks. They can't do it. People call you crazy.
Tin
But-
foil, same old, same old.
Okay, so I looked into it because this is one I didn't know much about. This goes back many, many decades.
Are you looking into, in fact, whether the weather is weather?
Whatever, that's ridiculous. That's stupid. Don't ever say that again. Come on. Now, I'm not going to, never mind.
Okay.
But I did look into it to get ready for the show, and I had no idea. This stuff goes back. It started in 1947. We don't have time to...
Is that your birthday?
Yeah. Not that old. We don't have time to go into all the things I learned, but I did learn it goes back to 1947 when they... Are we... Wow. We're already coming up on our last break, so we're going to have to get this
Speed
on
through the weather.
We'll get through this on the other side. We also wanted to talk a little bit more about the reaction to Helene. We're going to have to, you know what? I think that we're just going to have to lock the door. We're not leaving.
We're not leaving.
And we're just going to take a
The
second
sanctity
hour.
of the studio is ours.
Yeah.
Wait.
No.
It's Kamala.
Yeah.
She's here.
She's coming for us. So anyway, we are Tom Kowitz and Michele Gaudin, Baldy and The Blonde. We will be back after this short break. We'll talk a little bit about weather control and whether weather can be controlled. Turns out it can, and they fully admit it in many, many documents.
In their own words.
In their own words. Many, many
We will play it.
government documents I found. So join us, please, after the break. This is Tom Kowitz, Michele Gaudin, Baldy and The Blonde.
I'm a superstar. I'm so damn bad.
I don't know if we're superstars, but we are pretty bad.
Yeah.
And pretty good. Anyway, we are back. This is Baldy and the Blonde, Tom Kowitz, and Michele Gaudin, who's been jonesing to say something. I don't know.
I just wanted to say that during the break, the illustrious Patty, the engineer, pointed out that Dark Brandon announced that there was ridiculous conspiracy theories about weather modification.
Oh,
So
wow.
surely no one in the government has ever said anything that indicates that there is
Yeah,
indeed,
well,
officially, according to the U.S. government, weather
Guess again.
modification. Guess
So
again.
we have time to only speed talk through these things, but my source for all these is the government website. Usually, it looks like NOAA for some, Department of Defense for some, but I didn't get anything from news stories. I got everything right from their own.
Maybe
the
you
GOV
could publish
websites.
your paper on our website.
I'm not sure if I can. I'll try. I'm not sure.
Not the website, Facebook. Anyway, we'll
I'll
talk
get-
about that
I'll
later.
get right on-
Keep
yeah,
an
'cause
eye on
everybody will
keep an
believe
eye on.
that.
Oh, y'all, and subscribe
So-
to YouTube too. Okay, go ahead.
So it started in 1947 with Project Cirrus, that's CIRRUS, like the cloud, with experiments for seeding clouds for benevolent purposes
Yeah.
to try to
Help
change.
farmers with rain, and I have a really old magazine which has it on the cover, Scientific
yeah,
American.
yep,
Remember that?
I remember
Yeah.
that.
And it's what's his name's brother that wrote the article.
And then by the mid-1950s, Congress appropriated more money for hurricane research, and ultimately that led to...
That was Project Storm Fury, right?
No, Storm. Well, Storm. You're getting a little bit ahead.
Sorry,
Storm
sorry,
Fury started in the early '60s. In the '62. Oh, speaking of that, we have a quote by LBJ.
No.
In May of 1962, he's speaking at the graduation for Southwest Texas State University, his alma mater. Let's play that.
In his own
It
words.
lays the predicate and the foundation for the development of a weather satellite that will permit man to determine the world's cloud layer and ultimately to control the weather, and he who controls the weather will control the.
Oh, we got cut off. We'll control the world, is what
Yeah,
he said.
he who
Now, that doesn't mean that they could do it then, or maybe could not even do what he said now with the satellite or whatever. But the point is, they had an eye toward that. They were working on that.
The point is, people like Joe Biden and others want everything that you think to be controlled by them, and for you to feel stupid because you question things. You're therefore a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, here we are.
Even though they've been saying it for
going back since
the 40s.
1947.
Yeah.
So Project Storm Fury, what's interesting that people in New Orleans will know this one, 1965, Hurricane Betsy hit. And Betsy had a very, very strange path. Now, the federal government said that they did not seed the clouds during Betsy. However, here's what I learned. So Betsy hit on late at night on September 9th, hit New Orleans, I think, on September 10th. But if you back up a week and a half to August 31st, the press was alerted to Storm Fury's seeding intentions. They were told that on September 1st, we're going to send up planes to seed the clouds around Betsy, to seed the storm. Okay. Then on September 1st, planes took off from a naval air station in Puerto Rico with plans to seed the clouds.
All right, let me just ask a question.
Yes.
This is not disputed, correct?
Well, these
two things you just said are not disputed.
Well, this is what's published. by NOAA on the NOAA website.
Okay.
This is my source.
Okay.
Now I'm quoting from NOAA's own article. This is a quote. The seeding experiments were called off and the mission was changed to a dry run where the same patterns were flown, but no silver iodide was released into the storm. Unfortunately, no one informed the press, which had been alerted to Storm Fury's seeding intentions the previous day. So the Storm Fury the press was told about Storm Fury on the 31st of August. Like they're going to go up and see the clouds. Then on September 1st, they called it off, said they called it off, and did a dry run. They still flew the same pattern, but they said they didn't see the clouds. What they forgot to do is tell the press that they didn't see the clouds. Then what happened is Betsy destroyed New Orleans, as everybody in New Orleans knows.
That's the ninth
Now,
ward.
quoting the article again. As the storm was making landfall, South Florida newspapers ran articles blaming Betsy's eccentric track. It was totally bizarre, that track. It
Yeah,
did
it was.
loop-de-loops. They blamed the eccentric track on the supposed seeding done to it back on September 1st. But since no one at Project Storm Fury nor in the Weather Bureau had advised the public or the press that the actual seeding of the storm had not that the seeding of the storm had been scrubbed, many people believed it had been carried out, and the link to its odd path seemed plausible.
Yeah.
So it kind of smells.
Yeah, it's very weird.
They told the press they were
gonna
going
do
off.
it.
Then they called it off.
They said.
While the planes were in flight. Said they called it off while the planes were in flight.
Right.
But the planes didn't go back. They still ran the same thing,
So
ran the
it's-
same run, but they didn't see the clouds.
They say.
But then they never told the press it got canceled. And then apparently the newspapers in Florida picked it up saying, hey, look, they seeded the clouds. This stinks. And then they said, oh, we forgot to tell you, we didn't do it. Now, there's no evidence that they seeded the clouds. The timeline stinks, though, and Betsy ruined New Orleans. Now, one of the results of New Orleans was the Army Corps of Engineers was then tasked with shoring up the levees, and that worked really well forever and ever.
Yeah, that worked out great.
Yeah, forever and ever, amen. New Orleans was safe forever.
Thank goodness
Thanks
we got
to
that.
all that.
Yes.
So something good came out of the seeding of. Oh, no, that didn't really work out.
It
so
didn't
well,
work
did
out
it?
so well.
Yeah.
No, it was not the hurricane, as we all know. It was the federal government that took New Orleans out in Katrina. So
Now, that gets really interesting.
that was the levees as well.
Just a couple years after that, a thing called Project Popeye. Project Popeye, and my source for this is, I didn't.
You said it's a deputy
This is
Secretary of State.
this is a history.state.gov. This is, in other words, a State Department website.
I'm going to get this published somewhere because this is some good
All right,
sources.
so my source for this is the Department of State.
Right.
The State Department. Of the
I think I'll
United
put it on
States.
Twitter at Baldy Blonde. I'll put this up.
This is discussing Operation Popeye. Here's where it gets interesting. The Defense Department wanted to. Let me back up. Sorry.
Don't forget Brennan. We want to get Brennan.
Well, I don't know if we'll have time for Brett.
I got to do Brennan.
Well, you could love him. You love him more than you love me?
No, baby,
Okay,
never.
thank you.
Never.
So what's interesting, the Operation Popeye was to seed the clouds in Vietnam to inundate them with water.
Yes.
So they couldn't travel or communicate as well. And they wanted to do this during the dry season there, which starts in October.
Yeah.
So Operation Popeye the experimental version was done in Laos, and by the Navy, and I think it was Navy and, well, it was the Department of Defense along with the precursor to NOAA.
The sites will all be in the
Okay.
thing. I'm going to publish it. At Baldy
So
Blonde.
the
I'm putting
Defense
Tom's paper
Department
up.
sought permission by the Secretary of State to go from the experimental phase to the operational phase. They said that it was crazily successful, the testing.
In other words,
so
it rained like crazy.
Rained during the dry season.
Yeah.
It rained like crazy, but they couldn't control it. It went out of control, and it rained
This is not disputed. Not disputed.
Well, this is what they said. This is the State Department's own document.
Yes.
They said
That's the main point.
that they seeded the clouds in Laos, and then it traveled east over Vietnam, and it rained 9 inches in 3 hours on U.S. troops. That they could not control their own Frankenstein experiment.
Yep.
And then by 1960, then it went operational.
Yeah.
Under a different name. Then by 1969, they're seeding more hurricanes in the U.S. Camille, I don't believe was one, and I'm a big
All right,
conspiracy
we're going to have to
theorist.
jump ahead.
Unfortunately, we got to jump ahead.
I'm going to publish
And-
this, y'all, on @BaldyBlonde. Follow us on Twitter @BaldyBlonde or XXX. This is it, right? We're done.
Yeah,
That's the end of
well,
the show.
we're down to the last few seconds, but here, the government's own documents
Yes, that's the
are
point.
saying, admitting to all that decades
so,
ago, and
so
now,
why do they treat us like
and now
we're
they're telling us it's
stupid?
all a lie and we're crazy.
Because they do that. That's what they do. They hate us.
Well-
and they lie to us all the time.
Well, if you were evil and you wanted to carry out evil deeds, you would lie too.
Yes.
Right.
And next week, or maybe I'll post this too, the link to John Brennan, who is a despicable human and responsible for so much awful stuff, saying that they basically use chemtrails.
Unfortunately, all that's going to have to wait. Baldy
Till
and Blonde,
next week. And y'all, this is all available on our site.
Next Wednesday at 4.